in that game, man. No, I couldn't play in that game because, to be honest with you, it's more than basketball. It's bigger than Game 3 or Game 4, Game 5 of a first-round series. And, yeah, that's what you play for, and, you working for that. But to be honest, if it wasn't for, what my grandparents and their parents and their parents went through to make it easy for us to be able to attain these kind of jobs and be successful in life, then I'm probably not here having this kind of success and doing what I'm doing. So I would rather take a stand and my teammates be mad with me than have to face, my grandparents and my parents and people like that when I had an opportunity to do what was right.
Former Clipper guard, now Pistons guard, Chauncey Billups, been on the show before. Very honest about what he would have done if he was still on the team. Stephen A., your reaction?
Love my boy Chauncey Billups, known him for years. Let me say this for the record. I do not believe him.
Oh.
Not if he were by himself. I do believe he would think like that. I do believe he would want to do that. But it would be very, very difficult for him to go against the wishes of his teammates if his teammates thought otherwise. That's the Chauncey Billups I know. Principled, very strong, a leader personified, and the kind of guy that would have got others to do what he wanted them to do. But if he were unsuccessful and he was standing alone, I don't think that he would have went against his teammates like that. I will tell y'all this, though. Remember that Pistons that won the championship, Skip?
Yes, sir.
Him, Big Ben Wallace,
yeah.
Rasheed Wallace, Richard Hamilton, Tay Shumpert. Oh, those boys would not have played. I can tell you that. Those are the kind of dudes. Not that Mr. Davidson would have ever done that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he loved Joe Dumars and seemed to have great relationships with a lot of African Americans. Let me be very clear. If something like that had happened in Detroit, Motown, with that team, oh, there's no way. That team or the Bad Boys of the 80s. Oh, no. They wouldn't have played. Not the next game. They would have made some kind of a statement, no doubt about that. And I think that's what Chauncey's alluded to, because the kind of cats that he's been associated with think like him. So, therefore, he's right about the fact that he wouldn't have played because they wouldn't have played. The only thing I'm refuting that he said is that he would stand alone even if his teammates wanted to play. He wouldn't have played. I don't believe that.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I know Chauncey a little bit and respect him a heck of a lot. And I'm at risk here, again, of coming across without sensitivity, but I'm just trying to be honest. I'm going to remind you that there are a whole lot of people out there right now left with a whole lot of egg on their faces over giving this man, Donald Sterling, a pass for the last 10 years.
Yep.
Because his behavior and his racist beliefs became so very public over those 10 years' time, culminating in a terrific, powerful piece done in ESPN the magazine, as we discussed yesterday, in 2009, detailing all of the above. Chauncey Billups played for this man in, 2011, 2012, and 2013. And in the big picture, as I look at this, it's hard for me to believe that a lot of people looked the other way or didn't focus hard enough on the man that they were playing for, or in the case of the LA chapter of the NAACP, honoring with Lifetime Achievement Awards. Mm-hmm. Why did the owners, all the other owners, look the other way? And then finally, back to Chauncey, and now Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, why did they all look the other way? Because it's very difficult for me to believe these players didn't at least hear a little bit of this in just water cooler kind of talk, just locker room talk. Baron Davis was very public in his issues with Donald Sterling. And we go back to the great Elgin Baylor, the long-tenured African-American GM under Donald Sterling, who filed suit against him both for race and age discrimination. And remember what Elgin testified, that Sterling repeatedly expressed a desire to field a team of poor black boys from the South playing for a white coach. This is public knowledge. It's all out there. And you would think within the African-American community in Kerry's hometown of Los Angeles that this would have been simmering, and it would have gotten some legs, and it would have been talked about, and it would have gotten into some social media message board somewhere where people would be aware of what this man stood for, both in the cases of his 2 racial discrimination lawsuits brought against him, which he very publicly settled and admitted some guilt in, and also the sexual harassment that we haven't really gotten deeply into, but he had several sexual harassment cases against him. Bad man, well known, well documented. So back to Chauncey, he says, gee, I wouldn't have played. Well, you played for this man for 3 full seasons. Wow, I'm sorry. I have some issue with that. I'm just being honest with you. Well, and for Chris Paul now, maybe it's his agent's fault. Maybe it's Blake's agent's fault. Somebody should have made them aware of signing the dotted line that was presented them by Donald Sterling.
Here's where, Skip Bayless, I'm getting tired of you. I'm getting tired of you having to preface your comments by saying you don't want to come across as insensitive. We do these subjects on this show by and large because of your sensitivities, because of your courage. And that's why I'm proud to be working with you. You don't owe anybody an apology. Stop prefacing your comments like that. Trust me, if you're insensitive, I'll be the first to tell you. I'll be the first to tell you.
All right.
Kerry and I will beat you to it, Skip. Trust me. We'll beat you to it. Okay? Don't worry about it. We got you.
But this is some thin ice we're on here.
It's thin ice because most people, number one, don't have the platform, and number two, most people don't want the platform to sit opposite side beside somebody like myself so we can gauge where we're coming from. You've afforded us the luxury of doing that, so don't worry about it. We got you. But let me say this. What I would ask you to do about Chauncey Billups is understand, Skip, it's one thing to hear all of these things, to have a sense of someone's sensibilities. It's another thing for it to be smacked in front of your face.
Yeah. I
use the analogy about somebody, you know they're cheating on you, but it's one thing to know and it's another thing to catch them in the act.
I like that analogy, by the way.
That's right. You know. Yeah. But the point that I'm trying to make, Skip, is that you out there, you playing ball, you trying to get paid. If you're lucky, you got a 10-year window to make the money in this career that you will never make again in your lifetime. You seize the opportunity to maximize it because it's about you and it's about what you're doing. If Skip, as a black man, the excuse that somebody might be racist, somebody might be a bigot, somebody looks at us as a second-class citizen, somebody doesn't want us to succeed, if that's the excuse not to go about the business of going for yours, none of us would have jobs. Because, Skip, and this is the part where, listen, I am incredibly blessed because I'm very proud to work for the network, and you know the bosses personally, the president, the executive VP for ESPN. I am proud to work for John Waltech. I am proud to work for John Skipper because they're good men. And you see African Americans in position of power, and it's because of that great man John Skipper and what he's done to put him in that position. And George Bodenheimer, you know, he was the president, and Bob Iger, all these great people. So we're blessed. But we're in the minority, Skip, because the fact of the matter is most black folks that walk to work every day are walking into that cesspool. They're walking in knowing somebody looks at them as a second class, or believing that somebody looks at them as a second class citizen. Somebody doesn't want their success for them. They don't have a champion, no pun intended, Kerry. Because we all look for a champion. You look for somebody to lean on that can lift you up and inspire you. When I give speeches, Skip, I talk to kids. You don't just need a mentor, you need a cheerleader. Because a mentor is somebody that's in your chosen profession that can help you because of their expertise. But a cheerleader is somebody that prevents you from falling into an abyss, which you ultimately will encounter at some point, particularly when you're black, because that is the way it goes down. You can't fault any black man that's a basketball player, knowing there's a 10-year window of opportunity to get this money, for going for theirs based on reports that he could deny or sensitivities that he could dismiss or whatever, when you're barely even around him. What you know is he cuts the check. Your check gets cleared twice a month.
Yep.
You're making this money. You're elevating your quality of life. You're positioning yourself to take care of your family, and that's that. You don't even know about all of this stuff. And even when he was sued with the racial discrimination case against the Department of Justice and had to settle for $2.17 million, what did he say? Oh, I didn't pay a dime. The insurance paid that. They just told me to settle. I didn't do anything wrong. These people are lying. What are you supposed to do? Say, I don't believe you. I'm going to turn away your $10 million? Come on, let's be practical.
Okay. All right, let's be real.
Be honest.
In your heart of hearts.
Yeah.
Try to be a little more specific. How much of Sterling's past behavior and beliefs do you think Chauncey and Chris Paul, let's just take those two, how much did they know before they signed that dotted line?
Very little. Because what you heard about Sterling, you hear about a lot of bosses. They ain't particularly fond of black folks. You don't hear, now don't get me wrong, you don't hear about racial discrimination cases,
Yeah.
Okay? But what I'm saying to you, you might have heard something about that, but guess what? When somebody brought up the agents yesterday, well, the agents must have known. Well, the agent's trying to get paid so the agent can get their 4%. And they're 15 to 20% on the marketing side. Mm-hmm. And if you can get in the LA market, and I can get you $80 million, $50 million, $100 million, I can get you Kia commercials, I can get you State Farm commercials, I can do X, Y, and Z. Well, even if the agent knows, the agent don't particularly care, because the agent is looking at those dollars and is saying, excuse me, this is going to be my percentage of it. So let's be practical about that. And the players themselves, you got your own stuff to be worried about. Especially when you're a black man. Because unlike most people, you're looking at it and going like this, man, I better make this money now because I got little to no shot to make it once my career's over.
All right, correct me if I'm wrong. Are we still, because we had this conversation off camera. So we're, Stephen A., and I know we got to wrap, we're saying Baron Davis didn't give them a heads up. Baron Davis didn't say this is what it was.
Baron Davis told them about how he would spew stuff at Baron Davis while Baron Davis was on the court, and how much he despised the man for it. That's enough to turn down $50 million?
Not for me, but
not for me.
I'll leave it there. We'll discuss this a little more. We got to get into the player and the knowledge of it. Coming up after the break, guys, it's still Game 5. Warriors at Clippers. Who wins? We got to talk about the game. They're actually playing. The gentlemen will make their pick. More on this topic. Who knew? Who didn't know? We're still discussing.